in the dusty annals of Roman history, there lies a concept so fundamental that it has shaped modern real estate laws across the globe. This idea is known as dominium, absolute ownership. Dominium is not merely about possession, it encompasses a suite of rights that the Romans saw as the very essence of property. It includes the right to use, control, and even dispose of property. But why has this ancient Roman notion persisted into the 21st century? As we delve deeper, you'll discover how this foundational idea continues to influence our modern world. Let's picture ancient Rome, a city of marble temples, bustling markets, and sprawling estates. In this world, dominium was not just a legal principle, it was a way of life. The Romans believed that owning property was more than just having something under your control. It meant the power to use it, enjoy it, and even pass it on. But what does this mean in practice? Imagine you are a Roman citizen with a beautiful vineyard. You have the right not only to grow grapes there, but also to sell the wine, build structures, or even give the land to your children. This is what dominium meant, absolute control over every aspect of your property. Now, let's zoom out a bit. The Romans distinguished between different types of property. Some things could be owned absolutely, like land or slaves, and were called res mancipi. Other items, such as movable goods, were known as res nec mancipi. This classification might seem arcane, but it reveals something crucial about the Roman mindset. They saw certain types of property as more essential to their society than others. Think of it this way, your home and your family are central to your life, right? The Romans viewed land and people in the same light as vital to the fabric of their society. This perspective underpins dominium. But why does any of this matter today? As we explore more, you'll see how these ancient ideas have left an indelible mark on our contemporary world. To grasp the full weight of dominium, consider this. The Romans believed that property was so integral to their lives that they inscribed these principles into their legal codes. These codes, known as Justinian's Institutes and the Digests, were foundational texts that have influenced legal systems across Europe and beyond. One of the most significant books is Bracton's De Acquirendo Rerum Dominio, which borrowed directly from these ancient Roman sources. This book helped shape English law, carrying forward the ideas of absolute ownership into the modern era. But it's not just about ancient books and dusty scrolls. Dominium has real, tangible consequences in our world today. As we continue, you'll learn how this Roman concept still echoes in the way we buy, sell, and inherit property. And perhaps most fascinating of all, you'll discover why the Romans believed that absolute ownership was not just a legal right, but also an essential part of what it means to be human. Now, let's take a breath and consider this. The Romans saw property as more than just a possession. It was an extension of themselves, their family, and their legacy. As we dive deeper, you'll see how these ancient insights have shaped not only our laws, but also our very understanding of what it means to own something. But for now, hold that thought. As we explore the origins and influence of dominium, you'll begin to see why this ancient Roman concept has such enduring power in our modern world. Before we begin, a small request. Most of the people listening tonight aren't subscribed. If this channel has ever helped you drift off, take a moment to subscribe. It's free, it helps this channel more than you'd think, and you can always change your mind later. And if you feel like it, leave a comment telling me where in the world you're listening from and what time it is where you are. I love reading them. One more thing before we begin. I'm also a co-founder of a sleep app, built to be the most affordable one out there. No ads, ever. Just sounds and stories made to help you sleep. It may not be released yet as this video goes up, but if you're watching a little later, it might be out by now. Just search for it, it should be easy to find. It works on iPhone, Android, and everything in between. Downloading it is the best way to support this channel. It's not easy to grasp how far we've come from ancient Rome when it comes to our legal systems, but one concept that has stood the test of time is dominium. The evolution of dominium begins with the Greeks and is significantly refined by the Romans. One key division in feudal law was between direct dominium and usufructuary dominium. Directum dominium referred to the absolute right of ownership. Usufructuary dominium, on the other hand, referred to the right to use and enjoy property without owning it outright. This nuanced approach allowed for a more complex understanding of ownership that reflected the varied relationships people had with property. But how did these types of dominium evolve over time? Let's take a closer look at the fascinating journey of this ancient concept. As feudal systems developed, dominium became even more nuanced, giving rise to nudum dominium and dominium utile. Dominium utile, however, represents a right to use and enjoy property for a specific purpose or duration. Imagine a medieval lord granting land to a tenant with the right to farm it, but not to build upon it. That's dominium utile in action. These distinctions show how flexible and adaptable the concept of dominium has been over centuries. But what happens when we fast forward to modern times? How have these ancient ideas adapted to contemporary real estate laws? That's a question for another time. For now, let's settle into the intriguing evolution of dominium, from its earliest forms to the nuanced types that emerged in feudal systems. The journey of dominium is a testament to how ancient ideas can shape our modern understanding of ownership and property rights. And as we explore these ancient roots, you might start to see why this Roman concept has such enduring power in our modern world. Did you know the Romans were pioneers in land division? Before Google Maps and GPS, they developed a system called centuration that would shape how we understand and manage property even today. Centuriation was more than just dividing land, it was about precision and standardization. Imagine a vast expanse of territory, freshly conquered by Roman legions. To transform this wilderness into orderly farmland, they would use tools like the groma. The groma was an ingenious device that could create perfectly straight lines and right angles, ensuring every parcel of land was precisely measured and laid out in a grid-like pattern. But the Romans didn't just rely on tools, they also incorporated natural features into their planning. They would use streams, hills, and other topographic elements to guide their surveys, creating a harmonious blend of human design and natural terrain. Think about it. A river could serve as a natural boundary line, while hills might define the shape of a plot. However, relying on nature alone posed challenges. Natural features can change over time, and their limitations led to inconsistencies in land records. To overcome these obstacles, the Romans developed additional techniques to ensure accuracy. They supplemented the groma with other instruments and methods to achieve a high degree of precision in their land surveys. Imagine the patience it required to measure each parcel meticulously, ensuring that every farmer received exactly what was promised. This level of detail and care was critical for ensuring fair distribution and preventing disputes among landowners. The Romans applied these methods not only in Italy, but across their vast empire, including regions like southern France, Spain, Britain, and even parts of Romania. You might wonder why these ancient techniques are still relevant today. It's because the principles they established, precision, standardization, and fairness, are as vital now as they were thousands of years ago. By 486 BC, Spurius Cassius proposed dividing conquered land among Roman citizens, a move that marked the beginning of profound changes in property ownership. This new system removed archaic checks to foreclosure, freeing property owners from traditional constraints. It allowed the concentration of wealth in fewer hands, as elite citizens could amass vast estates. The impact of dominium extended beyond just land ownership. It facilitated complex contractual relations and sophisticated banking operations. Eminent domain defined the boundaries in cases of public necessity, with compensation to the owner, a principle that balanced power and fairness. Roman law streamlined the process of foreclosure, enabling property to be transferred more efficiently. As a result, a select few could accumulate enormous estates, transforming the economic landscape of Rome. But why did this system have such profound effects on Roman society? To explore that question further, we'll delve into the intricacies of Roman property law and its broader implications. As you ponder this, Remember that ancient Rome was a civilization built on the principles of precision and standardization. These values laid the groundwork for the sophisticated systems that govern property and wealth in Roman society. Beyond the values and traditions, what truly set Roman society apart was its intricate legal framework, designed to protect both owners and non-owners alike. The laws of possession in ancient Rome were remarkably comprehensive. Actions for rent were among the provisions that gave property owners recourse if tenants failed to pay. Damages to property, real or personal, could be legally pursued under Roman law. Forcible entry upon possession was strictly forbidden, safeguarding the rights of both owners and renters. Even the right to use a name could be litigated in court, demonstrating how extensive these laws were. In his speeches, Demosthenes famously argued about the exclusive right to a name, illustrating the importance of this legal concept in Roman society. These actions were not isolated, they were part of a robust system that addressed everything from land leases to rents and damages. The Roman legal framework was so thorough that it even covered actions for the use of names, showing how deeply ingrained these principles were in their society. As you delve deeper into these laws, you begin to appreciate just how sophisticated and protective Roman legal structures truly were. But for now, let's consider what this meant for the daily lives of Romans. How did these laws shape their interactions and disputes? Dominium provided rules for private property rights among individuals, shaping how Romans managed their lands and possessions. Mancipatio was the method used for transferring these properties, ensuring a clear and orderly system of ownership. In Roman cities like Cologne, visible remains include the decumanus and cardus, clear indicators of their meticulous land division practices. While Latin was their primary language and culture, Rome's population was diverse from its earliest times. The city's cultural richness is evident in its surviving architecture, a testament to the influence of ancient Rome on contemporary societies. Even today, private property rights under Dominium are still used in various modern legal systems around the globe. The Romans had long relied on communal ownership and tribal lands. But as their empire expanded, so did the need for more structured property laws. This precision ensured that each citizen received an equal portion of land. A plot could even be established as the exclusive property of a family patriarch. But what drove this significant transition? Why did Rome shift from tribal property to private ownership under Dominium? One theory suggests that the expansion of Rome's territory made it impractical to manage communal lands. As they conquered more regions, a new system was needed. Moreover, the growing wealth disparity in Rome created a need for more structured property laws. Absolute ownership allowed for greater control and concentration of land. Perhaps it was the influence of Greek philosophy that promoted individualism and private property rights. Whatever the driving forces, the shift to private property under Dominium had far-reaching consequences. It laid the groundwork for modern real estate laws and set a precedent that continues to influence contemporary legal systems. Even today, the principles of Roman private property ownership are woven into the fabric of our legal systems. The right to dispose meant that Roman citizens had complete control over their land and possessions, including the authority to sell, gift, or bequeath them as they saw fit. This right was not without limits, however. Even with Dominium, the state maintained its ultimate authority over all land within its borders. Imagine the vast expanses of Roman territory, from the lush farmlands of Italy to the conquered provinces in Gaul and Spain. Each parcel of land had its own history and purpose, reflecting the Romans' meticulous approach to land management. Within this framework, citizens could freely dispose of their properties according to their needs and desires. But this freedom was balanced by the state's overarching control. Consider the sprawling city of Rome itself, where property transactions were regulated to ensure fairness and prevent abuses. The right of disposal was not an unchecked liberty, but part of a complex system that maintained social harmony. This intricate balance between individual freedom and state control has left a lasting imprint on modern real estate laws. But how did these principles evolve over time, and what challenges have they faced? Long before modern GPS or satellite imagery, the Romans were pioneers in land surveying and division. They developed ingenious methods that laid the foundation for contemporary land delineation and spatial organization. Centuriation significantly influenced modern land surveying practices, setting a precedent for how we delineate property boundaries today. This legacy of precise measurement and thoughtful spatial organization continues to shape our modern cities today. So, next time you look at a city map or see property boundaries clearly marked out, remember that the Romans were among the first to master these techniques. It makes one wonder which elements of Roman land management are still being practiced today. Think of it as a balance between individual rights and the common good. Marcus Tullius Cicero, a renowned statesman and philosopher in 106 BC, 43 BC, championed the idea of a rule of law. He believed that private property rights should be protected under the umbrella of such a system. He argued that a well-ordered society needs clear rules and regulations to ensure justice and fairness, especially when it comes to property ownership. Now, you might be thinking, how does this relate to the vast Roman Empire? Well, Rome's expansive territories and diverse population made such principles crucial. Openness in society may account for the diversity of its people. Think about it. The more varied the populace, the more complex the needs, and the greater the necessity to balance individual rights with public necessities. But here's where things get interesting. How has this principle been interpreted and applied over time? We'll delve into that in our next chapter. While centuries have passed since the Roman Empire, dominium continues to influence our understanding of land ownership. It's a concept that has evolved through complex land distribution systems like centuriation, a method of precise and systematic division, ensuring fair allocation among citizens. This system was so advanced that it laid the groundwork for modern land management practices. Today, these principles still guide how we think about property rights and ownership. As we explore these ancient principles further, we might wonder which elements of Roman law are still practiced today. This curiosity will lead us to uncover fascinating connections between the past and present. In our next chapter, we'll delve into how these ancient principles have shaped our modern legal landscape. In ancient Rome, this principle allowed individuals to possess, use, enjoy, and dispose of their properties as they saw fit. This idea has profoundly influenced modern legal systems around the world. But how might this ancient principle continue to evolve in the future? As our societies and technologies change, so too do the ways we understand and manage property rights. We can already see glimpses of this evolution in contemporary real estate laws. For instance, contractual relations, pledges, mortgages, trading ventures, and banking operations have reached high levels of development and sophistication in modern legal systems. This complexity is a testament to the ongoing evolution of property laws. Dominium, with its nuanced distinctions between ultimate legal title and beneficial use rights over the same property, provides valuable insights into these modern systems. But what might the future hold? As technology advances, could we see new forms of digital ownership emerge? How will smart contracts and blockchain technologies reshape our understanding of property rights? Or perhaps the emphasis will shift towards more collective or cooperative models of ownership. As societies become more aware of environmental sustainability, could we see a rise in shared resource management? Understanding these ancient principles can help us navigate the complexities of our evolving legal landscape. They offer a lens through which to view the past and anticipate the future. As we continue to study the evolution of property laws, one thing becomes clear: the story is far from over. The future of property laws promises new discoveries and challenges that will keep legal scholars intrigued for generations to come. But for now, we rest, knowing that the rich tapestry of human history continues to unfold before us. And with each new thread, our understanding of the world deepens and expands. And so, we leave you tonight with a soft settle, the promise of discovery, and the comfort of continuity. Until next time, dear listener, may your dreams be filled with the wonder of human ingenuity and the beauty of our ever-evolving world. At its core, dominium meant that an individual could own land completely, not just use it, but possess it entirely. This fundamental idea would revolutionize not only Roman society, but also the very fabric of how they farmed and distributed their lands. Latifundia, or large estates, became a significant part of the Roman economy. These vast tracts of land were often used for large-scale agriculture, providing wealth and power to their owners, a trend that echoes in today's agribusiness landscape. However, the concentration of land in few hands brought societal challenges. Wealth disparity grew, and small farmers struggled to compete. This tension would lead to reforms such as those initiated by Tiberius Gracchus, who sought to redistribute land more equitably among Roman citizens. Gracchus's agrarian reforms aimed to break up large estates and give small plots to those who could farm them. This not only redistributed wealth, but also ensured that more people had a stake in the land, a principle still at play in contemporary real estate laws aiming for broader ownership. The impact of dominium on agricultural practices was profound. It not only shaped how Romans farmed, but also influenced the societal structures around land ownership, structures that continue to resonate today. Understanding this history provides a vital context for contemporary real estate laws. The legacy of dominium echoes in our modern concepts of private property, land use, and the ongoing quest for equitable distribution. Settle, the continuity of human innovation and the enduring spirit of progress. Until next time, dear listener, may your dreams be filled with the marvels of our shared history and the wisdom it imparts. Roman private law, with its intricate rules governing transactions among citizens, set the stage for this revolutionary idea. As Rome expanded, so did its urban landscape, shaped profoundly by the principle of dominium. One striking feature of Roman cities were insulae, massive apartment blocks that housed the burgeoning population. These insulae, a product of private ownership, often reached staggering heights. While providing shelter, they also presented safety challenges due to their densely packed nature. In contrast, public spaces like fora and temples offered respite from the crowded living conditions. These spaces were maintained through a mix of public and private efforts, showcasing the interplay between dominium and civic responsibility. The role of private owners in maintaining infrastructure was crucial, reflecting a balance between personal gain and communal benefit. As we gaze upon the remnants of ancient Rome, we see not just ruins, but a testament to a powerful idea that continues to shape our world. Until next time, consider the enduring legacy of dominium as you walk through cities both old and new. When Rome expanded its empire, establishing coloniae became a strategic tool for controlling newly conquered territories. Coloniae were cities founded by the Romans, primarily as military outposts, and to settle veterans who had served their time. The allocation of land to these veterans was a critical aspect of dominium in practice. In places like Carthage, after its defeat in the Third Punic War, the Romans systematically redistributed the land among their own citizens and former soldiers. This process not only provided a new home for veterans, but also served to dilute local resistance and integrate the territory more seamlessly into Roman control. This ensured that land could be owned absolutely by individuals, fostering a sense of personal investment and loyalty to Rome. However, the establishment of coloniae was not without its challenges. The integration of local populations often led to tensions and resistance. For instance, in Gaul, despite efforts at assimilation through dominium, native tribes continued to hold on to their cultural identities and traditional land practices. Nonetheless, the concept of dominium facilitated the expansion of Roman territory, creating a legal backbone that supported the settlement of vast new regions. Today, echoes of these practices can be seen in modern concepts of land settlement and ownership. The idea of absolute property rights remains foundational to many contemporary real estate laws. Usufructuary dominium granted the right to use and derive benefit from a property, while reserving ultimate ownership to another. This nuanced approach allowed for flexible arrangements, facilitating trade and economic activity. Dominium utile, or useful ownership, was a form of tenure that provided the rights to use and benefit from property for a specified period. This arrangement promoted trade by enabling temporary access to valuable resources. The economic implications of dominium were far-reaching. Private ownership fostered competition and innovation in agriculture, craftsmanship, and trade, leading to significant wealth concentration. Large landholdings became a hallmark of Roman society, with wealthy patricians amassing vast estates. This consolidation of property had profound socio-economic effects, exacerbating class divisions and creating stark disparities in wealth distribution. The concentration of land among the elite limited opportunities for lower classes, who often worked as tenants or labourers on these extensive estates. Despite the inequalities, the system of private property fueled economic growth by encouraging efficient land use and incentivizing productivity. Farmers and craftsmen who owned their means of production had a vested interest in maximizing output. The principle of dominium, enshrined in Roman law, ensured that individuals could freely buy, sell, and bequeath property, creating a dynamic market that drove economic activity. This model of private property ownership left an indelible mark on contemporary real estate laws, shaping our understanding of absolute ownership and its role in society. Today, echoes of Roman dominium can be seen in the resilience of private property rights and their influence on economic policies worldwide. In essence, the Roman concept of absolute ownership laid the foundation for modern real estate markets and contributed to the economic growth and wealth distribution strategies we still employ today. As we explore the enduring legacy of dominium, it becomes clear that the innovations and challenges faced by the Romans in property law continue to shape our world's economic landscape. The 12 Tables, engraved in bronze in the 5th century BCE, marked a revolutionary shift in Roman law, providing the first written code that outlined private property rights and legal texts. Gaius's Institutes, written in the 2nd century CE, expanded upon these foundational principles by providing detailed commentary on property law and legal texts. Justinian's Digest, compiled in the 6th century CE, further consolidated Roman legal thought by systematizing previous writings and commentaries into a comprehensive text. The meticulous recording of these laws solidified the concept of dominium, reinforcing the idea that individuals could own property absolutely. This evolution in legal documentation ensured that private property rights were well defined and documented, creating a robust framework for contemporary real estate laws. The legacy of these texts endures today, influencing modern legal systems across the globe. As we delve deeper into Roman law's influence, it becomes evident that the intricate system of documentation they developed has shaped our understanding of property and legal texts to this day. Slaves in Rome were categorized under res mancipi, the same class as land and cattle. This classification meant that slaves could be bought, sold, gifted, or inherited just like any other form of personal property. The process of transferring a slave from one owner to another was known as mancipatio. This ritual involved the use of specific objects, such as bronze scales or a rod, symbolizing the formal transfer of ownership. Despite their status as property, slaves were not entirely without rights. One significant right was that of manumission, the legal process by which a slave could be freed from bondage. Manumission could occur in several ways, including through a will, where an owner might specify that upon their death, certain slaves were to be granted freedom. Another method was via vindicta, a court process where a slave could prove they were wrongfully enslaved and thus gain their freedom. For those freed, life as a former slave was not without its challenges. Freed slaves, known as liberti, could be subject to certain obligations, including the need to pay a form of gratitude tax to their former owner. This unique system of property law highlights one of the many facets of Roman legal ingenuity that have influenced modern concepts of ownership and rights. As we delve deeper into the intricacies of Roman property law, it becomes clear how these ancient principles continue to shape our contemporary understanding of what it means to own something. One of the most intriguing aspects of Roman property law is its intertwining with military service. The Romans recognized that land ownership and civic responsibility were inseparable. In their early history, they allocated public lands known as ager publicus to Roman citizens who served in the army. This land was distributed based on the length and nature of military service rendered by each citizen. Those who served longer or participated in campaigns that were deemed more demanding received larger plots of land. This system not only rewarded loyalty and sacrifice, but also created a tangible link between personal property rights and national defense. This principle continues to influence modern legal systems, highlighting the ongoing dialogue between individual property rights and collective responsibilities. To grasp the practical applications of these ancient principles in Rome, consider the case of a Roman soldier who served for many years in distant campaigns. Upon his return, he would be granted a significant piece of Ager Publicus to cultivate and call his own. This land was not just a reward, but also a symbol of the soldier's enduring commitment to Rome, creating a visible bond between individual wealth and national strength. Roman laws of succession were meticulously crafted to distribute property according to specific rules. For example, the Lex Falcidia established that no more than 3/4 of an estate could be left by will. This regulation ensured that a portion of the wealth remained within the family, preventing it from being entirely disposed of or lost. If an individual died without leaving a will, known as dying intestate, Roman law provided clear guidelines for the distribution of their property. Typically, this involved dividing the estate among surviving family members, prioritizing closest relatives such as children and spouses. However, testamentary freedom was a significant aspect of Roman inheritance law. Individuals could draft wills to designate how their property should be distributed after death. This flexibility allowed for personal preferences and specific familial legacies to be honored. The principle of inheritance was not just about the transfer of wealth, but also about the continuity of family names and social standing within Roman society. By ensuring that property remained within families, Dominium served as a mechanism for maintaining familial prestige and influence. Through these legal mechanisms, the Roman idea of absolute ownership was preserved and passed down through generations, illustrating a deep connection between individual wealth and national power. As a result, property ownership became a tangible symbol of a family's commitment to Rome and its enduring strength. This system ensured that the fruits of one's labour were not only rewarded, but also preserved for future generations. In essence, inheritance in Roman law functioned as a bridge that connected past and present, ensuring the continuity of property ownership and the perpetuation of familial legacies. This continuity not only maintained personal wealth, but also reinforced the broader social fabric of Roman society, highlighting the interdependence between individual families and the larger empire. Dominium referred to the absolute right to own property, including land, slaves, and livestock. Women in ancient Rome held a complex legal status that was often dependent on their marital status and the laws governing family dynamics. Under Roman law, married women were subject to the authority of their husbands through a legal arrangement known as manus marriage. In this system, the husband held ultimate legal power over his wife and her property. However, unmarried women, or those in a different form of marriage known as sin manu, had more independence and could own and inherit property. This legal distinction highlights the nuanced ways Roman laws approached women's rights and property ownership. Despite these complexities, the principle of dominium ensured that both men and women had well-defined legal relationships with their property. These laws shaped societal structures, including gender dynamics, by establishing clear rules for property ownership and transfer. The continuity of these principles has had lasting influences on contemporary real estate laws and societal expectations regarding property rights. Imagine a Roman settler in North Africa or Gaul receiving his parcel of land. He had not only the right to cultivate it, but also to sell or bequeath it as he saw fit. This concept extended beyond personal holdings. Public spaces and infrastructure were similarly managed with an eye toward efficient use and fair distribution, ensuring new communities thrived under Roman law. Roman colonial expansion wasn't just about military conquest. It was a well-orchestrated deployment of their legal principles, and this had lasting impacts, shaping the way we think about property rights today. The practical application of dominium in Roman imperialism demonstrates how deeply intertwined law and governance were in their expansion efforts. This approach, rooted in principles of absolute ownership, laid the groundwork for contemporary real estate laws. It reminds us that property isn't just about possession, it's about use, enjoyment, and even disposal, ideas that still resonate today. Temples, sanctuaries, and other religious properties in ancient Rome were not just spiritual centers, they were also significant legal entities under the system of dominium. While private individuals could own property absolutely, these holy sites operated under different rules governed by their sacred status. Under Roman law, temples were considered the property of the deity they were dedicated to. This principle, known as sacrosanctitas, made these sites inviolable and exempt from many legal proceedings. This legal status meant that temples could not be seized or sold. They were maintained by a group of priests who managed the property on behalf of the deity. These priests, known as flamines, held special roles and were responsible for the daily rituals and upkeep of the temple. They were essentially caretakers, ensuring that these sacred sites remained in proper condition. Sanctuaries, on the other hand, could be privately owned but carried certain restrictions. They were often part of larger estates and used for personal worship or communal gatherings. These religious spaces were subject to Roman property laws, but their sacred nature meant that they could not be desecrated or misused. They represented a unique intersection of private ownership and public reverence. The legal administration of these religious properties reveals an intricate balance between the spiritual and the mundane. It shows how Roman law accommodated the needs of both divine entities and human practitioners. This interplay between religious belief and legal practice underscores the complexity of Roman society, where spiritual devotion was deeply woven into everyday life and governance. Even today, the echoes of these ancient systems can be seen in how contemporary societies manage religious properties, reflecting a legacy that spans millennia. From the humble temple managed by devoted priests to the grand sanctuary honored within private estates, each site carries its own story of devotion and lawful administration. And so, amid the grandeur of Rome's architectural marvels and the intricacies of its legal system, the humble temple and sanctuary stand as enduring testaments to the city's rich religious heritage. In the heart of ancient Rome, amidst grand temples and intricate legal systems, another layer of history unfolds, the story of environmental stewardship woven into the fabric of Roman law. Roman private law provided detailed regulations for managing these precious assets, reflecting an early understanding of the importance of conservation. For instance, forests were considered common property, subject to careful stewardship. Felling trees for lumber or charcoal was heavily regulated to prevent deforestation. Waterways, too, were treated with respect and care. Rivers and streams were not only sources of life, but also channels for trade and transportation. Moreover, the concept of usufructuary dominium allowed individuals to use and enjoy natural resources while preserving them for future generations. This early form of environmental stewardship laid a foundation for modern conservation efforts. The idea that natural resources could be managed and conserved for the benefit of all was revolutionary and reflected Rome's sophisticated understanding of sustainability. It is fascinating to consider how these ancient environmental laws continue to influence our modern real estate practices today, reminding us that the principles of stewardship and sustainability have deep roots in history. And so, within the broad scope of Roman law, the humble tree and flowing stream stand as enduring symbols of Rome's commitment to environmental stewardship, echoing through centuries of legal evolution. Perhaps the most iconic examples of Roman public works are their aqueducts, which brought fresh water from distant sources to cities across the empire. The construction and maintenance of these engineering marvels relied heavily on the principles of dominium. Under the dominium model, private owners could secure rights to land needed for aqueduct routes and construction sites, ensuring that these vital projects had a legal foundation upon which to build. Private owners could claim land for road construction, guaranteeing that these critical infrastructure links were maintained and accessible across the empire. Public baths, a hallmark of Roman urban life, also exemplify how Dominium facilitated large-scale infrastructure projects. Wealthy patrons could invest in these public facilities, ensuring their upkeep and availability to the citizenry. The baths of Caracalla, for instance, were funded by Emperor Caracalla himself, demonstrating how Dominium could concentrate wealth and resources toward the common good. Moreover, the principle of Dominium ensured that these public works were not merely ephemeral undertakings, but enduring investments in the civic fabric of Rome. By enabling private citizens to secure and manage property for public use, Dominium laid the groundwork for Rome's unparalleled infrastructure development that continues to influence modern urban planning. Indeed, the legacy of Roman public works can be seen in contemporary cities, where water supply systems, road networks, and public amenities still reflect the ingenuity and commitment to civic welfare fostered by Dominium. From aqueducts to roads and baths, each of these infrastructure projects bears the stamp of Rome's unique approach to property ownership. In essence, Dominium not only shaped how Romans lived, but also enabled them to build a civilization that continues to inspire and influence the world today. It allowed Romans to have complete control over their property, from the tiniest trinket to sprawling estates. This concept paved the way for rapid urban growth and the establishment of new colonies. One of the fundamental types of dominium was directum dominium, which meant full ownership over a piece of land or estate. This type of ownership enabled Romans to found and expand cities with confidence that their property would be protected. His writings emphasized the importance of legal protection for property owners, which was crucial for urban development. Cicero's ideas reflected the practical benefits of dominium in facilitating city foundations and expansions. As private property rights were established, so too were cities and colonies that could grow and flourish under this protective framework. This legal structure not only safeguarded individual wealth, but also enabled the Roman Empire to expand its influence across vast territories. The establishment of these cities was integral to Rome's urbanization strategy, influencing modern urban planning principles. One of the earliest forms of property valuation involved the assessment of agricultural land. Roman engineers used advanced surveying techniques to measure and divide parcels of land into precise units. The value of land was often determined by its fertility and proximity to resources such as water. Wealthy Romans would buy vast tracts of farmland, creating large estates that became the backbone of the Roman economy. Agents and brokers played a significant role in facilitating these transactions. They acted as intermediaries, helping to match buyers with sellers and ensuring that deals were fair and legally binding. The development of these markets laid the groundwork for modern real estate practices. The principles established by Dominium continue to influence how property is bought, sold, and valued today. Throughout history, civilizations have adopted and adapted Roman law, incorporating elements of Dominium into their own legal systems. This legacy can be seen in the modern real estate markets that are built on principles of absolute ownership and secure transactions. As we explore these ancient roots, it becomes clear how Rome's innovative approach to property laid the foundation for contemporary real estate markets around the world. Illustrating how Dominium laid the groundwork for modern real estate markets and transactions highlights the enduring impact of Roman law on contemporary society. The principles established by Rome continue to shape our understanding of property rights and the importance of secure transactions in real estate markets today. One of the most notable examples of urban renewal is the reconstruction efforts after the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD, which devastated the city of Pompeii. These investments were crucial because they ensured that the city could rise again from the ashes. The principles of Dominium allowed for swift action and significant resources to be dedicated to rebuilding efforts. But it wasn't just Pompeii that benefited from this system of absolute ownership. Other cities across the Roman Empire also underwent significant urban renewal projects following natural disasters. For instance, after the earthquake in 62 AD that affected much of Asia Minor, Roman citizens used their dominium rights to rebuild and restore their properties. These efforts showcased the resilience of the Roman society and their commitment to rebuilding what was lost. This commitment is evident in the fact that many reconstructed buildings still stand today as a testament to the enduring legacy of Dominium. One of the most profound applications of Dominium was in land reclamation projects, such as the Centumcellae swamp reclamation. The Romans believed that land was a resource to be controlled and cultivated for the benefit of society. With this mindset, they embarked on ambitious projects to drain and reclaim swamplands like the Centumcellae. These efforts transformed vast swaths of unusable land into fertile agricultural fields. The impact on agricultural productivity was immense. By reclaiming these lands, the Romans significantly increased their capacity to grow crops and raise livestock. The reclaimed lands also spurred societal development by providing ample space for new settlements. As communities grew and prospered on these once uninhabitable areas, the economic benefits were profound. The concept of dominium thus laid the foundation for modern real estate laws by emphasizing control and cultivation over land. It's a testament to the enduring influence of Roman legal principles that these ideas continue to shape how we think about land and its potential. Through the lens of dominium, the Romans saw not just resources to be exploited, but opportunities to build and thrive. This philosophy drove economic growth and societal progress in ancient Rome and continues to resonate in contemporary real estate practices. Beyond economic growth and societal progress, Roman property laws also extended to the management of vital resources like water. One fundamental concept was usa fructus, the right to use and enjoy someone else's property without altering its essence. For the Romans, this included access to waterways for irrigation and transportation, essential for sustaining life and commerce. The Aqua Virgo Aqueduct project is a prime example of how dominium principles were applied to water resources. Completed in 19 BC, this 20-kilometre-long system brought fresh water from the Sabine Hills to Rome. It significantly enhanced the city's water supply and facilitated the growth of public baths and private fountains. Under dominium, these water resources were regulated to ensure equitable distribution and maintenance. Roman law required property owners to maintain their waterways and share them with the community as needed. This comprehensive approach to managing water resources demonstrates the thoroughness of Roman property laws. Their principles continue to influence contemporary real estate practices, including how we think about vital resources like water today. Mineral rights in ancient Rome referred to the legal framework for extracting valuable resources beneath the Earth's surface. These rights were crucial for mining operations, which were often lucrative enterprises. Under Roman property law, dominium encompassed both the surface land and the subsurface resources beneath it. This meant that if you owned a piece of land, you also possessed the rights to any minerals or metals buried within your territory. This legal framework facilitated the development of mining industries across the Roman Empire. Entrepreneurs could secure permits, known as concessions, to extract valuable ores like gold, silver, and copper. The economic exploitation of these natural resources was a significant driver for the Roman economy. Metal ores were not only used for coinage, but also played vital roles in construction and craftsmanship. For example, silver mining was particularly important, as it was used to mint coins, which were essential for trade and commerce within the empire. Stone quarrying was another crucial aspect of subsurface resource extraction. Marble from Carrara and travertine from Tivoli were highly sought after for building grand structures like the Colosseum. The role of dominium in these economic activities was paramount, as it provided the legal foundation for individuals to claim and exploit subsurface resources. This principle not only facilitated wealth accumulation, but also laid the groundwork for modern concepts of property rights, including those pertaining to mineral resources. Today, as we explore vital resources like water or minerals, we stand on the shoulders of these ancient innovations, which have paved the way for modern real estate laws and economic practices. Today, as we delve into the intricate world of Roman property law, let's explore a fascinating concept known as easements. Easements are legal rights that allow one person to use another's land for specific purposes without actually owning it. This principle has deep roots in ancient Rome and plays a crucial role in shaping contemporary real estate laws. One of the most famous examples is Via Appia, an ancient Roman road that connected Rome with Capua and Brindisi. This road, stretching over 300 miles, granted access to adjacent properties through easements. Landowners along Via Appia were legally bound to allow public passage through their properties. This right-of-way ensured that the road remained accessible, facilitating trade and communication across vast distances. This practical example demonstrates how Roman property laws balanced individual ownership with the need for public access and utility infrastructure. Easements were not merely a convenience, but a necessity for maintaining essential services and connectivity within the empire. As we continue to explore the evolution and influence of Roman ideas, it becomes clear that their innovative approach to property rights has left an enduring legacy on contemporary laws and practices. So, let's take a moment to appreciate the intricate balance Roman lawmakers achieved in crafting a system that respected private ownership while also ensuring vital public access and utility. Their work continues to guide us today as we navigate our own complex real estate landscapes. Perhaps the next time you drive down a well-maintained road or benefit from an essential service, remember that it's thanks to principles established thousands of years ago in ancient Rome that such conveniences are possible. At the heart of Rome's tax system were two critical levies, the tributum and the annona. The tributum was a direct tax on land, while the annona was an indirect tax on goods and food supplies. These taxes weren't merely financial burdens, they fueled Rome's grand projects and military campaigns. The tributum, for instance, was calculated based on the value of one's property holdings. This meant that wealthier Romans, those with more land and assets, paid a disproportionately larger share of their income to the state. This system ensured that Rome's wealth was redistributed from the affluent to fund public works and military ventures. The annona tax, on the other hand, was imposed on goods transported into Rome, particularly foodstuffs like grain and olive oil. This indirect tax ensured a steady supply of essential commodities for the city's growing population. Together, these taxes were the lifeblood of Rome's economy. They financed the construction of roads and aqueducts that brought water to thousands of homes, facilitated trade routes that spanned continents, and supported vast military campaigns that expanded the empire's borders. The principle of dominium made these fiscal policies possible by clearly defining who owned what land. This clarity in ownership facilitated the efficient collection of taxes, which in turn fueled Rome's growth and stability. Without a robust system of property ownership, the empire would have struggled to maintain its sprawling network of roads and public services. The very convenience we enjoy today, whether driving on a well-maintained road or benefiting from an essential service, is a testament to these ancient principles established thousands of years ago in Rome. The concept of dominium evolved over centuries, influenced by legal figures such as Gaius and Ulpian. Their works contributed significantly to the development of Roman property law. Gaius, a prominent jurist in the early 2nd century CE, was instrumental in codifying the principles of dominium. His writings laid out the rights and responsibilities that came with owning property. Ulpian, another influential legal scholar from the late 2nd to early 3rd century CE, built on Gaius's work. He expanded the understanding of dominium to include different types of ownership, such as directum dominium and nudum dominium. The Corpus Juris Civilis, compiled by order of Emperor Justinian I in the 6th century CE, was a comprehensive collection of Roman law. It included works by Gaius and Ulpian, ensuring that their insights on dominium would be preserved for future generations. This compilation had a profound impact on the development of modern legal systems across Europe. The principles outlined in the Corpus Juris Civilis have been adapted and incorporated into many contemporary real estate laws. The idea that individuals could own property absolutely was revolutionary. It laid the groundwork for Western legal traditions, establishing a framework where private citizens had clear rights to their land and possessions. Dominium, not only ensured individual rights to property, but also influenced how societies structured and managed their land. Its legacy continues to shape real estate laws worldwide. By understanding the evolution of dominium, we gain insight into the foundational principles that govern our modern legal systems. It is a testament to the enduring influence of ancient Roman thought on contemporary real estate law. This concept laid the groundwork for early financial institutions that would shape trade and commerce. Banks in ancient Rome facilitated credit transactions between merchants and wealthy individuals. These financial institutions allowed for the secure transfer of funds across vast distances, supporting long-distance trade. The principle of dominium ensured that property used as collateral for loans retained its value and could be recovered if the borrower defaulted. This stability in property ownership fostered growth and innovation in banking practices, leading to the development of insurance. Insurance policies protected property owners from loss due to natural disasters or theft, further securing their investments. These financial systems supported a robust economy and encouraged the expansion of trade networks. In essence, dominium created a stable framework for property transactions, enabling the development of complex financial systems that continue to shape our world today. This expansive legal reach facilitated international trade in an unprecedented manner. It wasn't just about Roman citizens owning villas and estates across the Mediterranean. It was about how this property ownership shaped economic interactions worldwide. Nudum dominium referred to ownership without specific rights of use or profit. This was often seen in military conquests where land might be owned but not utilized. These types of dominium facilitated a complex web of economic interactions across vast distances. For instance, wealthy Romans could own vineyards in Gaul or olive groves in Greece, which they would lease out to local farmers. The legal framework that supported this kind of ownership abroad was instrumental in Rome's economic expansion. It allowed Romans to invest in distant lands, reap profits from them, and maintain control over their overseas properties. One example of significant trade agreements facilitated by dominium is the treaty between Rome and Carthage in 34-8 BCE. This treaty established clear boundaries for trade and property ownership between the two superpowers of the ancient world. It stipulated that Roman citizens could own properties in Carthage without facing legal repercussions from local authorities. Such agreements were crucial because they laid the groundwork for modern international property laws. They demonstrated how legal frameworks can facilitate global economic interactions and create stability in foreign trade practices, illustrating how dominium enabled Romans to expand their economic influence globally and laid the groundwork for modern international property laws. The Roman Republic faced significant issues with piracy. These threats not only disrupted trade routes, but also endangered the lives and property of Roman citizens. To address this, the Romans developed maritime laws that aimed to protect ships and cargo. One notable case involved a ship carrying valuable goods being seized by pirates. The Roman legal system had to determine the ownership of both the ship and its cargo after such an event. This highlighted the complexity of maritime property disputes. In response, the Romans enacted laws that outlined procedures for recovering lost or stolen vessels and cargo. These legal codes established a system where the owner could seek redress through specific maritime courts. The case of a ship named Libertases showcased this principle in action. Despite being captured by pirates, the vessel was successfully reclaimed by its rightful owner due to these maritime laws. This adaptability of dominion principles in different contexts demonstrates their resilience and influence on early maritime laws, which continue to shape modern jurisdictions today. Though the Roman Empire is long gone, its legal legacy lives on. The concept of dominium, as it applied to maritime property, laid the groundwork for current international maritime laws that safeguard trade and travel across vast oceans. From ancient times to today, the need for robust maritime laws remains crucial. As ships traverse global waters, the principles established by the Romans serve as a reminder of the enduring importance of property rights and legal protections at sea. One groundbreaking practice was the introduction of crop rotation. By systematically alternating crops like wheat and legumes, farmers ensured the soil retained its fertility over time. This method prevented the exhaustion of nutrients in the soil, a common issue with continuous monoculture. Under Dominium, farmers had the security to experiment and refine these techniques without fear of losing their land. Another significant innovation was the development of sophisticated irrigation systems. With absolute ownership came the incentive to invest in elaborate networks of aqueducts and canals. These intricate waterways could transport life-giving water over vast distances, transforming arid regions into lush agricultural lands. This investment in infrastructure would not have been possible without the long-term security that Dominium provided. Furthermore, the Romans pioneered the use of fertilizers to enhance soil productivity. By collecting and applying animal waste and other organic materials, farmers boosted crop yields significantly. These practices not only sustained but also increased agricultural output, providing a stable food supply for the growing empire. The secure property rights under Dominium were the cornerstone of these advancements. The influence of Roman agricultural innovations can still be seen today in modern farming practices. Techniques like crop rotation and irrigation are fundamental to sustainable agriculture globally. For farmers today, as it was for their Roman counterparts thousands of years ago, the right to own and manage land is the foundation upon which innovation and progress are built. Medieval scribes and jurists delved into ancient Roman texts, adopting and adapting these principles for their own societies. One notable example is the Magna Carta, drafted in 1215 to curb King John's abuse of power. This document protected property rights, asserting that no freeman shall be taken or imprisoned except by the lawful judgment of his peers or by the law of the land. This stipulation echoes Roman concepts of dominium, safeguarding individual ownership against arbitrary seizure. Similarly, medieval charters and local customs reflected Roman ideals, such as the directum dominium, absolute legal title to land. These principles provided a foundation for the development of modern property laws. Thus, dominium not only defined property rights in ancient Rome, but also influenced medieval jurisprudence and laid the groundwork for contemporary real estate laws. Illustrating the enduring impact of dominium beyond ancient Rome, shaping medieval legal frameworks that would further influence modern laws. At the heart of this evolution were key legal figures like Gaius and Papinian, who contributed significantly to the doctrine of dominium. Gaius, a prominent Roman jurist from the 2nd century AD, laid the groundwork for understanding property rights in his institutes. Papinian, another influential jurist from the 3rd century AD, further refined these categories in his work, Digest. Their work illustrated how property could be owned absolutely, with rights to use, dispose of, and profit from it. Today, as we navigate complex real estate transactions, we can trace these practices back to the early jurists who first defined dominium. One of the fundamental legal maxims that underscored this principle was "Nemo plus iuris ad alium transfer potest quam ipse habet." No one can transfer to another more right than he himself has. This phrase encapsulates the Roman view of ownership. It is absolute and inviolable, limited only by the power of the state itself. The principle was reinforced through the practical application of Roman law in land surveys and divisions. Each plot of land was considered an exclusive property, subject to the full rights of dominium. This approach ensured that every citizen had a clear understanding of their property rights and the limitations thereof. The legal maxim served as both a protection and a limitation, emphasizing the individual's absolute right to ownership, while also acknowledging the state's ultimate authority. This balance between individual rights and state power helped shape Roman society and its legal framework, ensuring order and stability in land management. These variations reflect the Romans' sophisticated understanding of property rights and their application in different contexts, from direct ownership to usufructuary use and practical utility. Understanding the evolution and significance of Roman legal maxims provides insight into the foundations of contemporary real estate laws and the principles that continue to shape our world. From the ancient practice of censuration to the modern division of land, the Roman idea of absolute ownership has left an indelible mark on how we view and manage property. As we continue to evolve our legal systems, the echoes of Roman jurisprudence remind us of the timeless values that underpin the concept of dominium. The ancient Romans were meticulous in their categorization of lands, a practice that underscored their concept of dominium. Beyond private ownership, they recognized the importance of managing public lands for the benefit of society. Public lands were categorized into two main types, ager publicus and ager privatus. Ager publicus referred to lands that belonged to the state, available for use by all citizens. The Romans ensured that the Via Appia was well maintained for public use, demonstrating their commitment to the principle of dominium applied to public infrastructure. In contrast, ager privatus referred to lands that were privately owned but could be appropriated by the state for public use under certain circumstances. Public baths, or balneae, are another illustrative example of Roman public land management. These baths were often constructed on privately owned lands, but made available for public use, showcasing the Romans' ability to balance private and public interests. The Romans' systematic approach to managing public lands was a critical component of their societal infrastructure and development.